Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you might be. It's your girl Shy Roseland, and this is another episode of It Happened One Night. And thank you for joining me. Welcome, welcome. Tonight we're gonna try and have a little fun. As you can see on the screen, it's still church drama season. A lot going on. And I will refer you to other channels as we go along because there's no way I can explain all of the shenanigans and foolishness and craziness that's going on in the supposed church sector. But tonight we're going to break it down. We're going to talk about heroes and villains. I'm going to keep it simple, keep it even. And of course, comments are welcome, subscribers are always appreciated, and sharing is caring. So let's move on. Let's get started. So as usual, a little housekeeping. The copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by the copyright statutes that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. And as always, this presentation is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Respectful comments are always welcome. And if you are so inclined, my Cash App is listed. And also, you can follow me on Instagram at Shy Rosalind N as in Nancy, D as in David, B as in boy. All right. So let's get into it. Once upon a time in a galaxy far, far away, yada, 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 there are heroes and villains. A hero is typically defined as someone who acts with courage, kindness, strong sense of justice, often helping others and striving for the greater good. In contrast, the villain is usually characterized by selfish and cruel actions, harming others and often opposing justice. They may be motivated by a desire for power, control, or personal gain. So keep that in mind as we go through our list for tonight. Now, I am a nerd or a blurred if you want to be technical about it. A blurred is a black person who is a nerd. I did not make that up. I heard it from somewhere else. And anyway, as a kid, my dad and I used to go to the local corner store, buy comic books. Um, he was into Batman, Superman. I of course, as a kid, I was allowed only to buy Archie comics for a while, and then when I was old enough, I was allowed to buy the superhero comic books. So I kind of grew up on Archie, Sabrina, Andy Cap. And I probably just gave away my age by mentioning Andy Cap. Um, yeah, Google Andy Cap, ANDYCAPP. Just Google it if you're not sure what that cartoon was about. And of course, he and I would watch Bugs Bunny on Saturday mornings, and he'd laugh at the jokes. He laughed way more than I did. And one day I said, What is Dad? What is so funny?" And he said, "Kid, when you're old enough, you'll get it." And he was right. As I grew up, I realized a little bit more what the jokes were about. So that's how I grew up, and I am still a nerd. I don't buy comic books as much as I used to. Actually, I think I cleared out my last comic book collection a few years ago, but occasionally I'll buy one or two. My brother loves them. He loves Archie and Sabrina and Jughead, so every now and then I'll get him one. But anyway, as most people know, there are several comic book publishing houses. But of course, everybody knows DC, which is Detective Comics, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, and so on. And then there's Marvel Comics, which is owned by Disney. And then you have, Iron Man, the X-Men, Captain Marvel, and Doctor Strange, and the Scarlet Witch, and the Avengers, and the Fantastic Four, and that's Marvel. And of course, nowadays everybody is into the movies, and that's what I'm basing tonight's list on. Is basically um, characters from the movies, rather than the comic books. Because with the comic books, they kind of, and I'm digressing a little bit here, bear with me. The comic books tend to digress a little bit. Sometimes the characters that are considered heroes, sometimes they flip, they become villains for a while, or they have different storylines for a bit and stuff like that. So I'm going by the movies because it's a little more clear who the villain is and um who the heroes are. So I'm combining all of this with the church drama explosion. I mean, the past week it's been one scandal after another. It's been crazy. And I will allow those content creators who are experts, in my opinion, on all of this, let them handle the details. I'm just going to try and break it down, have some fun with it. So you have two camps right now: those folks who are considered false prophets, and the people who are supporting them. And I found a new word today. Well, no, not today. Last week, there's a word called windmillers. Windmillers are, you guys know what a windmill is. It's basically, um, it's a windmill, and they repeat the same talking points over and over again in support of the antagonist. So that's a new one. Keep that word in your back pocket. You might see it a lot. Then you have the folks who are trying to comment or offer commentary on what's going on, not necessarily taking a side, but basically just saying, hey, this is what's happening, this is what's going on. And some people are doing it just, because it's a hot topic. You get more clicks and views on your videos that way. Um, some people actually have concerns and questions about what's going on and what these supposed prophets are doing, and how they may be harming the people that are trying to follow them. I mentioned it in an earlier video that it's kind of sad that people who don't have a strong foundation in a faith, and then they look for something to believe in, and they end up getting taken advantage of by these false prophets or false preachers. Then you have the preachers and prophets who actually start out legit, and they get a little greedy, or their ego gets a little too big for their britches, and then they end up flipping and going to the dark side, as I like to call it. So, but then again, I'm not a philosopher, I'm not a theologian. I do not have any expertise in church stuff. I'm just a humble person that went to a whole bunch of different churches growing up, and I say my prayers at night. I don't even read my Bible as much as I should, which is not good. But I'm not an expert. That's all I'm saying. I'm just literally looking at things as an outsider. But tonight I decided to try and have some fun with such a serious subject. But like I said, there are channels who can delve into this stuff way better than I can, and I suggest that you check them out. So, we're going to have some fun. We're gonna make some matches. Now, most of the characters that I'm using to make these matches are from um, the Avengers movies. Um, some you can check out Infinity War and Endgame, and you could also check out Doctor Strange, the Black Panther movie, and Captain America: First Avenger, and so on and so forth. And I am inviting people to comment on the video. Tell me who you would match up with, a villain or a hero. I really would love to see what people are thinking. I can't be the only one that is doing this separation between heroes and villains and matching things up. I can't be the only one. So, that being said, let's make some matches, and I can't wait to see what how the comments come up. So, here we go. Number 1, Thanos and Mr. 888. Now, the cool thing that I realized after I set up this presentation, don't ask me how, maybe it was subconsciously, but I managed to match up the pictures. Like, in this instance, Thanos and Mr. 888 have the same facial expression. They the backgrounds are almost the same color. And I mean, look at what Thanos is wearing and look at what Mr. 888 is wearing. I mean, it was eerie once I was editing this presentation and I realized every single pair has some kind of connection color wise. I was I blew myself away on this one. But yeah. So Thanos and Mr. 888, it's pretty obvious. Um for those of you who haven't seen a movie or read the comic book or whatever, Thanos is one of the major villains in the Marvel universe. In the movie, he um obtained the Infinity Gauntlet, which has stones that you have to put the stones in the gauntlet. Once you have all 5 stones in the gauntlet, you can pretty much do whatever you want. He snapped his fingers and made half the world disappear. And Endgame, the heroes have to try and retrieve the gauntlet and reverse what Thanos did. So those are the 2 movies in a nutshell. Go watch the movies. They're free on you can get it on YouTube, you can get it, I think, Netflix, whatever. So anyhow, so we have Thanos and Mr. 888. Mr. 888, of course, those of us know who he is. He says that he's a prophet. Um, he's had quite a bit of scandal, especially in the last few months. He may or may not be eventually sued by Bishop T.D. Jakes. That's still up in the air. It's not official, but it's looking like he might be listed as one of the co-defendants. Maybe at some point. We don't know for sure yet. But he's had quite a bit of controversy. One of his um former associates is in jail for financial fraud. I talked about her in a previous video. Um, he has another another issue. The word on the street is he might be losing money. But again, I'm not the experts in this. There are other people who are talking about this stuff in depth. But I figured this was a good match because he's kind of the Mr. 888 is kind of the top of the food chain as far as the villains are concerned in this whole church drama thing. So, yeah. So, of course, for every villain is a hero. I matched up Iron Man, Tony Stark, with the cigar blogger. And yes, you can check out his channel. Um, So Iron Man, Tony Stark, he's the one that ends up where they found a reverse infinity gauntlet. They had to get the stones. They did. And in the final battle, Tony snaps his fingers, reverses everything, but he loses his life. And with the cigar blogger, I'm not going to get into detail. You can go check out his channel, but he also got into it with Mr. 888. It was a long, drawn out battle. He had some health challenges, other things that happened in his life. And however, he is now vindicated because Mr. 888 seems to be being caught up by karma. Karma is about to kick his butt. So the cigar blogger is finally getting the justice that he was seeking. So obviously, I matched up Iron Man and the cigar blogger. So, and yes, you can check out his channel. So, next up, and this I feel was a perfect match. Loki, Thor's brother, but he's also called the God of Mischief, and he's definitely leading on the villain side because he's always causing trouble. And William McCray III, y'all know about William McCray III. He's talking about people that he shouldn't be talking about, the usual stuff. Look him up. You'll figure out what I'm talking about. But down to the hair, these two are a perfect match. they they both say the wrong thing at the wrong time. They both cause trouble, and there you have it. Perfect match. They're twinning down to the hairstyle. So yeah. Now we get into the ladies. Now, um, Tarsha Global, she is a force to be reckoned with. She is a very outspoken critic of false prophets. She has a YouTube channel. You can check it out. And this lady has she has a backbone like no other. She has spoken out on several online preachers and false prophets. She does not back down. And as she says, I am never going to shut up. I am going to keep talking. And I couldn't decide. I put her either the Scarlet Witch or Captain Marvel. Now, I couldn't decide because Scarlet Witch and I didn't want to associate Tasha with the word witch, but Scarlet Witch actually wants she goes for justice. Um Thanos killed her boyfriend in order to obtain one of the Infinity Stones in the movie. So she's out for justice and she gets her chance in Endgame and she almost takes Thanos out. It was a good fight scene, y'all. You gotta check out that fight scene in the movie. Excuse me. And so she almost takes him out. Almost. She was literally ripping him apart. And Tasha going after these false prophets it's just as powerful as that scene in the movie. Then I couldn't decide because Captain Marvel tore up Thanos' ship when she comes into the big battle scene. She tears his ship apart by herself. So, and she almost took Thanos out as well. So, I couldn't decide which hero to pair Tasha with. So, I went with both. And of course, y'all are welcome to disagree with me. Um, but these are the two that I picked for the lovely Tasha Global. And yes, you can check out her channel. Then we come to the diplomat, St. James, and yes, you can check out his channel. Um, St. James has been called the Switzerland of the church sector. He most of the time stays neutral. He just reports on what's going on. He kind of doesn't go one way or the other usually, but there have been occasions where he's like, "Yeah, this isn't right. This makes no sense." Um, I paired him. I paired him with Black Panther because T'Challa was a diplomat. He was a diplomat. He wasn't just Black Panther, the superhero. He was king of Wakanda. And there's one scene in one of the movies. Um, I think it might have been Age of Ultron. I'm not sure, but there's a scene where there's a big chase scene, and they finally catch up with Black Panther and Captain America, I think Iron Man, Spider Man. They were having like this big chase scene, and they finally catch up to the Black Panther. They don't realize it's T'Challa because he's wearing his mask. They finally catch him. They take off his mask, and he's like, "You can't arrest me. I have diplomatic immunity." I fell out laughing. I said, "Ah, they can't arrest him." They wanted to, and they couldn't because he had diplomatic immunity. So I kind of paired him with St. James because St. James, he has his opinion and he does his speculation and his commentary, and he has his opinion, but you really can't do anything to him. He's like diplomatic community. So that's why I paired the Black Panther with St. James. And yes, please check out his channel. So my next heroine is the lovely Regina. She is the chief cook and bottle washer of the Juice Radio and Talk Show. Please check out her channel. I paired her with the Ancient One. Now the Ancient One is from the Doctor Strange movies. Um and I paired her with the Ancient One because the Ancient One was in charge of the spiritual um, training of Doctor Strange. She was sort of the guide in his original journey, and she's the one that has the spiritual power, so to speak. And I'm putting that in quotes because obviously it's a comic book based movie, but Regina is definitely a prayer warrior. Don't mess with her. um I mean, she prays over the super chats. She prays over her guests. I just saw an interview she did yesterday, I think, with a gentleman, and she was like, she and the guests like praying over people. Don't mess with Regina. That's all I got to say. She is definitely somebody who is like, right is right and wrong is wrong. And I very happily paired her with the Ancient One. So I know she does not look like Tilda Swinton, but uh, hmm, yeah, sh- I was gonna say the hair, but the Ancient One doesn't have any hair in that movie, so we're gonna leave that alone. And we'll move on to the next one. Speaking of Doctor Strange, I have paired him with V. Terrell Hill. Now, V. Terrell Hill made this big, s- big announcement last February. He was a former um business partner assistant to Mr. 888. Um Things were not good And Vitorel Hill finally said, "I'm done." And he did two videos last February, and it shook up YouTube. It shook up the church sector. I mean, basically, he opened the floodgates because once his videos came out, other people were coming forward and corroborating what he was saying, and also coming out with their own story of things that were going on. And since then, Vitorel Hill has gone on a healing journey of his own, and he has grown into his own channels. He has more than one. Safe Space is definitely one to check out. And he is basically living life to the fullest now. And he's taking us along on his journey. So I paired him with Doctor Strange because Doctor Strange started out as a very arrogant, I think he was a neurosurgeon. He was some kind of surgeon. He got into an accident. The nerves in his hands were messed up, and he couldn't be a surgeon anymore. Which basically, he felt his life was over. He goes on his healing journey. He travels to this what could be Thailand, Nepal, someplace like that. He meets the ancient one. The ancient one takes him in and sends him on this journey to figure out the mystic arts. And he becomes Doctor Strange and eventually takes over for the ancient one. So that's kind of the nutshell. And it's similar because both are on this journey. They're both learning new skills, they're learning new things, they're learning how to deal with people. And you have Vitorel Hill, who has created a safe space, and you have Doctor Strange, who is going through his own journey, and he is out there trying to save the universe, along with the other superheroes, of course. So I paired them, and I think this one is probably my favorite. So, and please check out Vitorel Hill's channel. It's called Safe Space, but I know he has more than one channel. So please go ahead and go check them out. And last but not least of my pairings, I would be totally remiss if I did not mention um who I feel to be paired with Captain America, and that would be Mad Church Disease. Now, please check out the channel, of course. Now, Captain America is, as some people say, he's the first Avenger. Yes, kinda. But he is Marvel's um Superman, basically. Truth, justice, American way, yada yada yada. And that is Captain America. Now, there is a scene in the Endgame. He's battling Thanos by him. He's pretty much on his own. Thor is out of commission. I think Iron Man and Thor were out of commission. So he's battling Thanos by himself. He Thor's hammer actually responds to him, and he starts kicking Thanos's butt with the hammer. And he almost has him, and of course didn't quite get him. And there's this scene where he is by himself. He's half of his shield is broke, and he's ready to do one last, take out as many people as he could. And just as he does it, the portals open, and all the other superheroes start coming through the portals to help him out. So one of those superheroes that comes out, was known as the Falcon, and he was um Captain America's army buddy. So he comes through the portal and he's like, "Yo, I'm here," that kind of thing. and they join the fray. So Steve Rogers, the Captain America, actually passes the shield on to Sam. So Sam becomes the next Captain America. And Mad Church Disease, he fits the Captain America. He wants the best for people. He calls out injustice. He calls out stuff doesn't make sense. That's not looking right. And and he and Darryl were kind of, they were buddies. He was helping Darryl when Darryl, the cigar blogger, was having issues with Thanos. I'm gonna start calling him Thanos now, Mr. 888. And so he's been in the game for a while, just as Captain America, as quote unquote the first Avenger, has been in the game for a while. So I felt both incarnations of Captain America are a good fit to pair with Mad Church Disease. And yes, please check out his channel. Lots of good stuff going on. If you're into the philosophical stuff, and I think um no, I shouldn't say that. That's members only. I won't say that. But definitely check out the channel. It's definitely worth the while. Especially if you're not sure if you're in the right space as far as having a place to worship, and um the questions that you should ask yourself and ask your faith leader. Mad Church Disease has probably already asked that question. So recommend you go to his channel. So, before I wrap this up, there are a couple of people that I wanted to mention. One of them has her channel, and that is Sean Talks, the Sean Talk Show. Please visit her channel. I am Courtney Phillips and Mari, which I think she just changed her handle. I think she just changed her name. Um, but they are three very inquisitive, respectful. They participate a lot on different channels, and I call them the Powerpuff Girls because that's what came to me. They are three very intelligent, very inquisitive ladies, and I when they come up on the panel in the panel discussions, I do enjoy what they have to say. So I wanted to give them a little shout out. And that, my friends, is it. Like I said, I want y'all to hit the comments. Tell me who you think should be paired up. It doesn't have to be a Marvel superhero or a villain. It can be DC. It can be um somebody from TV, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter. I don't care. But let me know what you think. I'm really interested in hearing what you guys would pair up. Um Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed my little silly episode. Um Please share your thoughts in the comments, share the video. Likes are free, sharing is caring. Subscribers are always welcome and appreciated. Again, if you want to follow me as far as my YouTube stuff is concerned, Shy Rosalind NDB. And if you are so inclined and you feel like send a little cash app to say thank you, I'd appreciate it. My cash app is Rosalind Jedi, JEDI. And I will see you guys in the next one. You can also check out my Beat and Chat videos. That's my main show. Um, and I hopefully will have a new Beat and Chat video up soon as well. But take a look around, check out my playlist, let me know what you think. And I appreciate all of you for watching. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and I will catch you all on the next one. Have a good night.